What is Nash? I can just easily sum it up saying, he was a Canadian pioneer and a real innovator for electronic music. He would even self-proclaim himself the godfather of electronica and that sort of industrial movement that, later spawned the Nine Inch Nails and all those bands. He sat me down one night and we were having drinks and he said, would you, when I pass away, would you take care of my legacy? I was incredibly humbled and blown away that anyone would ever, ask me that, but super scared because, he knew I wasn't a huge fan of his music. I think he had the hope that maybe someone saw the theatrical, that sort of brand, what he invented, his look. Someone thought maybe that might be interesting enough to get into a museum, and the National Music Center came calling, and they're like, we want to have a Nash exhibit. First became aware of Nash when I was younger. My brother and I would get home from school. We'd watch the Much Music Countdown on Fridays and rush home. And his video was on Much Music, and my brother and I were just enamored. You're like, who's this guy in bandages? Like, how cool is this? That was just sort of kind of burned in my psyche, and it kind of it just sat there for a little while. When you're a classically trained violinist and you love punk music, he was such a fan of that music, he wanted to be part of that scene, so, you don't see a lot of violin in punk music, so, he was able to find a way to punkify, for lack of a better word, his musicianship with fuzz pedals and stuff. He told me punk was jeans and t-shirts, the Beatles were like suits and well-dressed and all that sort of era, and punk sort of went against that, and it's jeans and t-shirts. So he kind of wanted to be punk but stand out to his peers in punk and kind of be that's why he went with the coattails, and it's like, he's got this dressed up classical look, but whoa, the guy's in bandages and he's playing this crazy, like, fuzzed out violin, and so immediately you stood there and were in awe, and it grabbed people's attention. He had this dichotomy about him. He came from an upper scale, well-to-do family, yet his love was, punk music, and he was likely dealing with his sexuality and being gay in the 70s and 80s, which was very difficult. So, I think that his alter ego, this Nash the Slash character that he was able to create for himself, he was able to explore all that emotion and maybe a lot of that artistry he wouldn't have been allowed to explore otherwise. When he lived above the Roxy Theatre, where he did his first performance for Chien Andalou, Cam had kind of known Nash and he was starting to write some music, and so he approached Nash to start collaborating. And so initially, FM was just a duo, just the two of them. From what I've been told, just the most incredible sound experience. A lot of people say we can't believe two people can make that kind of sound. I always saw Cam early videos. He's like the octopus, right? It's like, where'd that hand come from? He's playing a sixth keyboard. Where's that? Nash has got, all his drum machines going, his violin, mandolin. He's cueing the bass tracks and bass synths and everything else. And they were just. I would have loved to see the first FM, shows. And, that's pre-bandaged Nash. When I listened to Phasers on Stun and that Black Noise record, like, holy shit. When I met him, he was like late 50s and just tired. I think he just hit that point where computers, and I've tried a million times to upgrade his gear and get him on a laptop, and I'd get a call at 9:30 and it's like, I'm about to throw the goddamn laptop out the window, like he needed a knob to turn, and he needed linear. He couldn't go and be like, well, why are we dealing with the end of the song? Like, we have to listen till we get there. And he was a linear analog kind of mindset. He needed a knob to turn. He wasn't inspired to hold a mouse and make music. He needed a board, and that technology was done and obsolete. As soon as the knobs became virtual, he just realized he didn't have his place in the music industry was kind of done. I think it'll be a real water cooler talked about documentary, and I don't just think for Nash fans or electronic fans. I think for people who are fans of, what it would be like to live a double life, so to speak. You get to live vicariously through someone who created this incredible character for himself, to make some in really unique music that defined a generation of electronic artists and inspired them to do things that were very avant-garde at the time. And you see his music, you see the little seeds of his music in all this new music that's being created even today, so even if they don't know it.